Terminus stands out among Black Ops 6 Zombies' roster as a stunning return to the round-based formula. It's a map that invites players to explore, engage, and master. 5 years after the conclusion of Black Ops Cold War, we find ourselves on Terminus, where the characters have endured solitude, torture, and the grief of losing their close friend, Samantha Maxis, to the dark ether. This time jump serves a narrative purpose. It soft resets 3 of our 4 main characters. The first map had the challenging task of introducing new players to the core crew while providing a satisfying conclusion to the story told in Cold War. The biggest hurdle for this map was meeting community expectations. The first map of any Zombies release needs to make a strong impact, and Terminus rises to the challenge. This map blends new design philosophy, storytelling, and innovation. Given its size, Terminus should be experienced in pieces, analyzed in isolation before exploring how all of the elements come together in the bigger picture. The starting room is a staple of every Zombies map, and each has its own identity. This starting room sets the tone and provides players with the primary reference point for map navigation. We begin every game in the room where the 3 main characters, Weaver, Carver, and Grey, as well as Strauss, albeit not playable, have been rotting for the past 5 years. All of these characters are deeply affected by their time behind bars. Weaver is vengeful, Carver is disillusioned, and Grey is forced to become more of a soldier than the once gentle and naive scientist she once was. As shown in the intro cutscene, we find ourselves at the start of our prison break. The entire map's quest revolves around breaking out of this prison and acquiring the Dark Ether warheads from Dr. Modi. This prison break is prompted by the actions of a new crew member, Maya Aguinaldo, and the returning scientist, once an enemy of Requiem, Dr. William Peck. As mentioned earlier, the spawn room sets the tone for the map's identity and gameplay. This room contains a generator, 2 viable exits, the control room, and an elevator whose access is unavailable to us. The environment serves as part of the storytelling from the very beginning, with the control room being one of the most unique areas of the map. This space is similar to the Cold War areas found in Firebase C with Peck and Ravenov. It serves as a point for players to interact with during Easter egg steps, and also provides context for the radio calls. Some of the greatest Zombies maps of all time have one thing in common. They provide players with mini goals on their way to the big one. The big goals, apart from the main Easter egg quest, often involve turning on the power or activating the Pack-a-Punch. This first room immediately introduces us to our micro goals, which are the generators. The generators present an immediate challenge and task for the player to handle. There are the 3 generators on the map, and each costs 500 points to activate. Once activated, a wave of undead will charge and come to stop you. This is a tower defense step, an early gameplay addition that isn't just about running around and surviving. The first generator is easy, as it should be. A map, especially a launch one, is responsible for introducing mechanics in a simplified way, and at round 1, this generator should essentially be free. It teaches you that 1. Money is refunded upon completion, and 2. Sometimes generators will open doors for you that you don't need to buy. This almost always incentivizes you to use them, regardless of the main quest prompts. In your first match ever playing Zombies in a new game, you probably don't have great gear or even a starting weapon you want to use. The first time hitting the box on a Zombies map is a rite of passage, a satisfying box to check, and a nostalgic action taken in many previous maps. It is also one of the first goals new Zombies players are likely to pursue. This leads me to talk about one of the pseudo design choices in the spawn room, a small outside section. This section overlooks the entire exterior of the map and is the first place our characters get to see the night sky. I believe this section is there to give players a peek at the map's scope, while also providing a view of the world so you can direct yourself towards the box location. The map's physical layout is tiered, like a staircase. It is one of the largest Zombies maps we've ever gotten in both vertical and horizontal size. Verticality is something we rarely see in a Zombies map, and it is one of the more subtle aspects Terminus explores, and seems to be a common theme of Black Ops 6. Regardless of your choice to exit the room, all paths will converge towards the second second generator. This second generator is in the barracks, which has a 3 points Easter egg and also the location of Juggernog, arguably the most important perk. Once again, the generator is in an important location that provides you with a landmark to orient your map knowledge around. As we discussed prior, a map is responsible for so many things, and one of which is to help the player build a good mental picture of where they are. The minimap helps, but more often than not, one's map knowledge becomes internalized, especially at higher levels of play. As the rounds progress, the generators naturally get harder, and you'll often need to decide whether you can handle the generator with your low-level weapon, or if you need to upgrade before starting it. This layer of risk and reward provides the player with more agency. One option is to just go for it and hope you have the right gun to get the job done, or you can upgrade your arsenal. Terminus, much like its staircase design, has tiered difficulty progression built into many of the map's aspects. And yes, like mentioned, Juggernog is in this room. This is very much an intentional design choice. Returning players understand its significance and know that it is one of the best perks in the game, while new players are practically forced to notice it. This area also serves as a bridging point between the higher and lower parts of the map, as well as the left and right sides. It is this map's core. The area's significance is further emphasized by the generator, as it's a place where you'll spend time in every single game. The third generator is located quite a ways from the player at this point, and it's often the most difficult generator due to the cost of getting there. This generator is located in the third main area of the island, the lab. After activating this generator, you gain access to the Pack-a-Punch machine, making this generator arguably the most important one. This generator is positioned at the center platform, an important Easter egg area, as well as a vantage point for the entire lab's exterior circumference. One thing to note about all of the generators and how this map progresses in stages is that it makes you examine the areas around you. These rooms are experienced differently than those you just speed through to get to the next door by. The map's identity and feeling have more time to seep into you due to the ability to make you slow down. A good example of this is efficiency. More seasoned Zombies fans, i.e. those who will most likely watch this video, are monsters of efficiency. Over the years, we've gotten super good at zombies, and often know the best strategies, weapons, and fastest ways to open the whole map. Efficiency at high levels of play is part of the mode's fun. Here's an example from the Tomb. The most efficient strategy for starting the Tomb's Easter egg and opening the whole map is to stay in spawn. Hoard up as many points as you can until you get to the Pack-a-Punch, and then start the main quest. This method essentially skips the exploration and observation of the map, as you just zoom towards the end goal. Especially on repeat playthroughs, trying to take down that dastardly sentinel artifact, you end up not enjoying half the rooms the map offers. There are no micro goals, no objectives to actively pursue, and nothing to do outside of the main quest, not counting any side Easter eggs. The only goal you have is the main goal, which is only accomplished by gathering enough points, a goal which isn't exactly the most fun to pursue. What do some of the most critically acclaimed maps, such as Shadows of Evil, Der Eisendrache, Origins, and Mob of the Dead, have in common? I'll wait a second for you to think. They all have tiered progression and mini goals to push towards, such as the Hell's Retriever, the bow, and the rituals around the map that inevitably lead to opening the Pack-a-Punch. The most efficient way to play these maps is to immediately start working towards these goals as soon as you have enough money to reach them. You are incentivized to start playing from the jump, and this principle applies to the generators on Terminus Island. I really like the generators as a game design feature. They aren't as flashy as the dragons or as horrifying as the Gateworm rituals, but they provide the player with the same function. And when you examine the intel, they even hold some story secrets of their own. The generators are an important part of why this map feels so different compared to the other two we've received thus far. It's clear someone really thought about Terminus's design from the very start. It is just a well-designed game slapped on top of a well-designed map. I want to examine some narrative aspects of the map as well, but for now, let's keep talking about the main gameplay and map progression separate from the main quest. After finishing the last generator and opening the Pack-a-Punch, you'll hear a small bell chime. And I believe this to be Terminus's most unique feature. We've received many modes of transportation in Zombies before, such as the lunar landers, the trams, and the infamous bus. But until now, we've never been given the freedom to control them ourselves, aside from the open world experiences with Modern Warfare Zombies and Outbreak. But now finally we have it in a round-based experience. The boats offer the most freedom this mode has ever provided us with. Skill expression in Zombies hasn't really changed through all of these years. The game is primarily about movement, target priority, and understanding what you need to buy and when. The boats add a new layer of skill expression and also provide familiarity to players of Warzone or those open world Zombies experiences, once again bridging experience gaps and offering pockets of comfort to different types of players. The boats have an interesting way of moving, and being able to speed through some of the map's tight turns without hitting anything is super satisfying. They are a great gameplay break from holding the sprint button, and they also contribute to the idea of efficiency I mentioned a little bit ago. The boats are just pure fun. They also can provide you with a respite from the undead, allowing you to take in the map from an almost guaranteed point of safety. Since you aren't on constant alert, these boats really let you observe, giving the map some much needed room to breathe. The whole ocean encircles the island, and you get to admire the beauty of its entire exterior. It feels like a place, rather than just a section of a huge world we are trapped in. At this point, its scale is worth mentioning, as Terminus is the biggest map we've ever gotten, at least in terms of area and volume. This map really felt like a next-gen experience, using all of the latest that COD has to offer to deliver us a map like we've never seen before. Whilst the majority of the map is the ocean, it still makes the experience feel much grander in scale. The water cascades into the horizon indefinitely, and the whole world seems to have its own motion away from you, the player. The crew may have been in prison for 5 years, but the island of Terminus has been alive and breathing for decades prior to their arrival. It has seen shipwrecks, a world war, and at one point was even home to pirates. This suits the island well. It's like the whole world was attracted to this awful place, and even you fell victim to its pull. The boats are a powerful tool in Terminus's toolbox and serve so many functions such as mobility and safety, which only enhance the map. To prevent the abuse of these powerful boats, the developers included a pseudo-timer. After a while, a toxic cloud of death, created by Patient 13, Owen Guthrie, will start chasing you endlessly. This serves the function of the developers basically saying, hey, get back to the game. But this death cloud also creates gameplay tension. Any slight driving error in what was once a safe boat can now down you or your whole team. You have to understand how to control the boat well, but also mentally chart a course to an area you can get to without dying. This moment-to-moment decision-making provides the player with engagement on the open waters. Do you safely go to the island you don't need to be on, or do you risk it and drive to the potentially faraway place you actually want to get to? You might die trying or have a triumphant moment as you stand on the shore with a sliver of HP left. This event creates moments of displacement, like the game is barking at you, and it sometimes forces you into a decision you otherwise would have never made. The chaos is part of the fun, and no two instances of this event are the same. How many times have you played and ended up at one of the satellite islands, felt a calm release, and then immediately heard the death cry of the undead horde? Adaptability is the name of the game, and variety is the spice of life. A map is always set in stone, so adding variables that add randomness to your game are almost always going to contribute to its replayability value. This is essentially the same design philosophy the mystery box added, a core pillar of Zombies that without, Zombies may have just never risen to such popularity. The movement these boats provide gives you a more engaging way to travel, rather than using a tram that takes you from A to B on a linear path that you can't freely traverse, or jumping into a portal that just teleports you to a location. This feature feels like a big swing, similar to Black Ops 2's Transit with even more freedom, and I love seeing a Zombies map swing for the fences. One of my favourite features of the boat isn't intended at all by the developers, and it's the many glitches we found using them. As As a segue, I want to speak on the glitches of this map real quick, especially since the boats are heavily involved with them. I think glitches are another contributing factor to a map's identity. I mean, the Liberty Falls bowling lane glitch actually made me enjoy that map in a way I didn't before. It gave that map a whole new way to experience it. I think regardless of how you feel about glitches, they are just another means of fun for certain players, and they create some of the most interesting clips ever. I don't think glitches are necessarily cheating, especially in a single player mode, and the boat pileup glitch was one of the most fun experiences I've ever had with zombies. The setup was fun and interesting, and trying to maintain it throughout the rounds also provided a change of pace and a challenge for the gameplay. The glitches can't really be part of a map's identity since they are unintended, but they are still a part of the collective user experience, which is worth mentioning. For example, think back to Classified. One of the most memorable things was people glitching on top of the tables. I think certain glitches can be fun. Some are definitely game breaking, but some add to the flair, and it's a shame that we live in a day of online patches because some of them really do make certain maps stand out. The boats add an amazing amount of freedom to your kit and let you navigate the map in an engaging, efficient way. I want to talk about the other islands and areas the boats grant you access to, but that'll be during the main Easter egg section. Until then, let's talk about what else happens after you turn on the third generator. After diving into the water, you can turn on the Pack-a-Punch. This is another pseudo-tutorial or an invisible conversation with you and the developers that says, yes, the water is safe to go in, and it is yours to explore. Swimming is another mobility feature that this map adds. Again, last seen in Outbreak, with it never being an around-based experience apart from Tag de Toten and Zetsubou no Shima, expanding the movement options just like the boats did. And this is on a scale we've never seen before. Whilst we've had swimming before, it just served as more of a gimmick than a feature. For example, in Outbreak, there was never really a reason to actually go in the water. There was no objectives or anything to do there. On Terminus, once you swim down and activate the platform, the Pack-a-Punch will raise up. Situated on the moving platform, along with the machine, is a button that lets you move the Pack-a-Punch up and down. This lift brings us to the middle of the map, right behind the room with Juggernog. The circle is complete, and now your basic understanding of the map structure is finalized. The first step of the Easter egg is also here, involving kilowatt dead wire to shoot 3 power boxes in succession. This means that for the most part, the lift will always raise and complete the player's understanding of the layout. After this, the map is essentially opened up to you in its entirety. The whole main quest, to Pack-a-Punch, takes you through the map incrementally and ends in this final moment. For casual players, this is the end of the map setup and leads perfectly into the first step of the main Easter egg quest. The other notable aspect of this platform is that upon initial activation, it'll randomly move from top to bottom after a certain number of rounds. This can once again lead to split-second decision making if you are being pursued by a large horde mid-round. Knowing where this platform will be is one of the things you are passively keeping track of in your game. It's a dynamic feature that adds to the map's design and switches some of its primary throughways significantly. In cooperative play, it also manifests teamwork. Maybe you are training in the courtyard whilst your buddy is in the lab. Hitting the button to send it down his way could mean saving his life, or more importantly, saving them time. It's just another interactive part of the map that lets players dictate what they want their optimal layout to be. Some will favour the top position, while others favour the bottom. No choice is wrong, but each player gets to make a decision, which is the important part. It adds another layer of interactivity that we haven't seen in many other maps. Another fun part is just launching yourself down the hole into the water below, providing quick navigation to the boats and the lab. I mean, just look how fun and efficient this is. It's an absolute charm, since Cold War did away with the arduous artificial barriers that would be placed throughout the maps, letting you traverse and explore over objects that you would naturally be able to explore if the map was a real-world environment and you were physically there, adding whole new layers to the map. First explored in D Machine's power room, where you could literally mantle over the cyclotron. This takes that formula to a whole new way, and is the perfect way to implement the new movement system with Omni Movement. You can dolphin dive straight into the water to get out of trouble. This is action we haven't seen since basically Blackout. Other than the lift, there is a second way up out of the laboratory, an elevator located on the outer catwalks. Upon taking this elevator, it'll lead you back to the spawn room. A quick aside, the spawn room and this elevator's slow speed in later rounds makes spawn the most dangerous room on the map, in my opinion. Its tight corners and lack of escape makes this place a death trap. And during later Easter egg steps, such as returning the hard drive, if you are not careful, this room could straight up kill you. It's also narratively interesting that this is where the prison cells are, so taking the elevator kind of brings you right back to square one, as if the island of Terminus is keeping you there, always returning to the same place, like a cycle. The same observation can be applied to the toxic cloud as well. A super cool merger of themes, gameplay, and function, and makes sense why it's called Terminus. You are never supposed to leave. The lift is also telegraphed for you in the spawn room, so when you see it in the lab, you know exactly where it'll take you. Now that we have a complete picture of the map and how it plays, I want to ask you a question. What does this map even sound like? Not the music, the environment. If you said this, then you are thinking exactly what I am. The sound design of this map is actually phenomenal. From the horrible wails of Patient 13 to this bassy head-shaking machine and even the calm water, this map is some of the best Zombies has ever sounded and provides you with so many different sensory feelings. I love the sound of the sea tower. It is a warbling electronic reminder of Janice's unfathomable power, and it constantly drones on throughout your game, reminding you of just how oppressive the whole situation is. Contrast this noise with the calming sound of the water in the eerie laboratory. An awful location is turned into a weirdly calming one. Away from all the hustle and bustle of Terminus, the world is still ticking. The machine is not stopping, and the world is not done raging. This map sounds phenomenal and makes me think of this filmmaking mantra. Good sounds can make a bad movie, and bad sounds can break a good one. Essentially, sound is one of the most important aspects of entertainment. While the illusion of a screen keeps us from being in a space, sound lets us live in one. The characters and the player hear the exact same thing, and it is the closest sense we get to reality. It's astonishing how much work was put into, in my opinion, the most slept on aspect of this map. Even the boats sound awesome. The footsteps on different materials, the slide noises, the sea tower, the damp caves, the rushing water, this insane cannon, the thunderstorms, the lightning crashes, all of it is just an absolute treat to listen to. The map is a feast for our eyes, but also our ears. When the undead are not constantly wailing in your ear, this map sounds absolutely beautiful, spooky, and straight up just well done. You can tell the sound design team put an immense amount of work, passion, and love into its sound design. And it's these signs of effort that really make this map stand out. And you can tell Terminus was in the oven for a long time, much more than the rest. Here are a few examples of some of the sounds in this map, so you can hear them for yourself. Every great map is normally supported by a great main quest. A good main quest should provide players with interesting gameplay opportunities as well as unique challenges. The Easter egg's first task is an assembly quest. After using the elevator to shoot the electric boxes, a secret room opens. After already opening up the whole map, finding a secret area that was right under your nose is exciting and adds to the idea that this map still has so much more to reveal. This is the workshop of Anya Tarnowski, a scientist scientist on Terminus and the creator of the Beam Smasher wonder weapon. You must activate 3 computers and then solve the algebra puzzle on the whiteboard. I like the algebra puzzle. It encourages thinking outside of the normal gameplay conventions, and solving it quickly is another layer to this map's skill ceiling. If algebra isn't your style, you can spend your valuable money on the solution from Dr. Peck, although I would advise using the many online websites to just plug in and solve instantly. But if you go with this route, it adds another layer of interactivity, once again making the characters through your radio feel more like part of your team. Without Peck, you would have never broken out, and you might have never gotten the Beam Smasher. After you finish this puzzle, a series of anomalies will appear at the 3 outer islands. If you haven't visited these in your game session yet, this step forces you to explore these islands. The anomaly challenge isn't too hard and requires you to kill a special infected, which will drop an orb of energy. After filling the main anomaly with 3 orbs, the trial is complete. This section is essentially another damage and survivability check, but it also tests that you target priority and movement. It's important to note that the economy in this game is quite tight, and you get significantly weaker as the rounds go on compared to prior games. This interaction makes the Easter egg progressively harder, and the choice to spend 5,000 points to solve an algebra step could set you back quite significantly on your constant goal of staying ahead of the power curve. The other 2 anomalies are more of the same, but I find the one on Crab Island to be significantly harder, most likely due to its tight spaces and chaotic spawn points. All in all, this step is quite simple, and it rewards you with the legendary Beam Smasher upon completion. The Beam Smasher takes a whole round of waiting after fueling the 3 anomalies to finally be assembled. Rounds are precious, and it's normally not optimal to run through them quickly when going for a main quest. This waiting step adds to the quest's increasing rate of rarity, but also provides the player with a subtle suggestion to chill out and gear up first. The Beam Smasher is this map's unique wonder weapon, and it seems fitting to talk about it here. I've been praising the map a lot, but the Beam Smasher is maybe the map's weakest feature. The wonder weapon has 2 different attacks, a laser beam and a mass stun, similar to the mesmerize ability found on the Skull of Nan Sapwa in Zetsubo no Shima, a map that, coincidentally, shares a lot of DNA with Terminus. This wonder weapon is bulky, underwhelming, and quite middle of the road when it comes to power. The weakest aspect of the weapon is how it interacts with the ammunition economy. As you pack a punch your weapon, ammo gets exponentially more expensive, and on wonder weapons, it basically makes the ammo boxes negligible. You could see this as a good thing, since wonder weapons should be powerful and ammo should be hard to come by. However, I think this detracts from the fun more than it helps the game's balance. The Beam Smasher is surprisingly mid, and other than the initial excitement it provides when first acquiring it, it's often a weapon I neglected to use in my later runs. One praise I'll give it is for the animations and the overall design of the weapon, which fits in quite well with the scientific vibe the Cold War era has ushered in. I often think if this weapon shared the ammo regeneration method of the Paralyzer from Buried, it would be worthy of more praise and use by the community, although it may get way too overpowered in that instance, much like the Paralyzer. Or the jet gun vastly improved on Liberty Falls. I guess Treyarch didn't want both of their launch maps to have this ease with the wonder weapons. After acquiring the Beam Smasher, the next step is to find the keycard, which requires the activation of a trap. This is once again a feature of the map that indirectly makes you aware that traps do, in fact, exist. I don't think traps make or break a map, but there are some cool ones to be found, such as the massive cannon trap, and even the tentacle traps have their eerie charm. Looking at it from an out-of-game perspective, it's quite weird that Terminus staff would even install these traps. Like, why would you have death traps at all of the important entranceways? But narratively, it shows just how absurd Terminus is. What world benefit could there possibly have been? What are these things? Failed experiments? Are they just tentacles stretching far from Patient 13? Did they used to be people? All of these questions reinforce just how sinister this island is, and most likely Dr. Modi is the one responsible for all of this, a character who seems to be the scourge of Terminus Island. The Easter egg continues as you'd expect, and there is even an arbitrary find a random code step, but I like how this step isn't just a developer saying, hey, get to it. There is actually a narrative reason for why this code is found in these specific places. An audio log explains to us that a scientist, whose memory is slipping, uses these routine visuals to help him remember the code. Once again, the map map is rooted faithfully in its own despair and has been lived in by other real people who have also suffered the effects of the island. This code opens the containment chamber of Nathan Aguinaldo, the brother of Maya, and Terminus's latest pet project. The map even shows Nathan's face, giving you a peek of what's to come once you open that chamber. One thing I really like about the chamber, which is a small but significant detail, is that after punching in the code, every player in the lobby has to interact with the locking mechanisms. This is just a cool feature, and it shows how the crew really is a team who couldn't get through this map without one another. It's subtle gameplay moments like this that really sell me on the idea of being a unified crew. You literally are forced to be a team. This moment is significant to me as well because of what comes next. The mid-game boss fight. Once you release Nathan, it triggers a lockdown sequence in the lab. The lights blare red, and some of my favourite boss music in the game begins to play. This boss fight isn't anything crazy mechanics-wise. It's just a supercharged amalgam, but what enhances this fight significantly is the story behind it. It shows the map reacting to your actions once again, and this moment can be viewed as tragic. Nathan is completely gone, and Maya has to effectively put down her own brother. The only way to save Nathan is to let your guard down, and is to kill him. Another cool part of this fight involves the inclined lift. The inclined lift actually makes this fight much easier, providing you with more room to kite the onslaught of zombies, but only if the lift is positioned in the lab. This adds another layer of preparation to your attempt at this encounter, and the fact that it's tied to the map's layout is super unique. The fight itself isn't the most ambitious thing in the world, but it does have its charm and merits, which are worth mentioning. Nathan's design and the overall map are rooted in body horror, a subgenre of horror that focuses on the destruction, mutation, and graphic degeneration of the human body. It's terrifying. Nathan's arms and limbs are non-existent, and his entire body is one giant, fleshy monstrosity. Even if we don't kill Nathan and manage to save his life, his entire existence would be ruined. The life he once knew has been completely destroyed, and it wasn't the Dark Ether or any zombie threat that did this to him. It was simply the work of regular scientists, albeit tampering with the Dark Ether. This map isn't about the undead or some big MacGuffin quest, it's really about the cruelty of humanity and what morals we were willing to sacrifice in order to face the Dark Ether. Nathan is just another victim in the long line, one that the Terminus staff wouldn't even see as special. Once you put down Maya's brother, we are treated to a mid-game cutscene. This cutscene shows Maya mercy-killing Nathan and introduces us to Dr. Modi, visually for the first time, a name you might recognize if you've been picking up the audio logs around the map. Dr. Modi is the chief scientist of this lab and the primary antagonist of this map. I really love how this cutscene shows the crew were rallying together, as if they've finally taken off the gloves and are ready to really get down to business. I mean, just look at the squad all walking together. Modi is a tangible antagonist and provides us with a threat that isn't even tied to the undead. I like that we have a villain and not some nebulous ether evil. This cutscene also serves as a structural act shift in the map's narrative. We've just finished Act 1, and now it's time to begin Act 2. Once again mirroring the generators and how this map progresses in stages. This cutscene reveals that Dr. Modi has the Dark Ether warheads that Peck wants to recover, and that she's cowering in a submarine beneath the water. After finding the keycard in the water, we reconnect the SAM AI's power by retrieving 2 different connectors from a hidden room in the derelict ship. This is a lockdown step, and its location is quite tight, making the difficulty significantly harder. Once again, ramping up the challenge level of this map. This room also serves a narrative function, as examining the walls, it gives us hints about the future of the Black Ops 6 storyline, and backstory for the map, as this is a room set up by Owen Guthrie to research and expose what Terminus is doing to the outside world. He was the first person to try and shut down the island, and we indirectly follow in his footsteps. I really like this boat and this hidden lore we can uncover, as opposed to it just being an intel piece that you can pick up, although I definitely think we should be able to view them them in the menu as well, just to make them easier to read. Regardless, we need more things like this. We had it in the Ether maps, but aside from the regular intel, this aspect of environmental storytelling has been largely absent from the majority of the Dark Ether maps and the other maps we've seen so far in Black Ops 6 Zombies. This board alone has provided so much room for theories that I've been unpacking in videos. Owen Guthrie is one of the key figures in this map story, and he's arguably Terminus's biggest victim. We connect the two power conduits to enable the SAM AI, and then we are tasked with hacking 3 boys to raise Dr. Modi's submarine. This action has consequences. Dr. Modi doesn't just sit idly by while this happens. She actually responds to this threat and our progression. This map doesn't just let things happen. It has this evolving dialogue of cause and effect. Everything you do in this map's main quest is met with some form of pushback, and hacking the boys is one of the final steps to reach Dr. Modi. This is where she is at her most dangerous. She's truly cornered. So what does she do? She decides to blow up the whole island, like the erratic human she is. The following step is a timed defusal task, and failure means the end of your game. These are immense stakes. You are literally within earshot of the final boss fight, but you have to overcome one final challenge, one final hurdle. This step tests your ability to stay calm under pressure, a skill that's certainly necessary for the boss fight that follows this section. I appreciate this insta-kill step. Some might despise it, but in the grand scheme of things, it's quite easy. Imagine doing this step with no prior knowledge of the Easter egg. This is a complete tension fest, and the penalty for failure is having to go through the whole Easter egg again. This map rewards mastery, and the final challenge being so damning really adds to the climax, and the skill required to beat the egg. The possibility of failure is very real for our crew, and it's now made real for the player. These bombs aren't even a radical play by Dr. Modi. It's very much in line with her character. She's a cutthroat scientist who's willing to do anything for Richtofen due to her little crush, but she's also willing to sacrifice everything to accomplish her own goals. This step once again shows us that Terminus isn't just a checklist of tasks, but rather a story we are actively playing and writing. After the bombs are defused, the map is ready to let you attempt its final boss fight. Patient 13. After entering the door on the bottom floor of the lab, we are greeted with yet another cutscene. Multiple cutscenes really help this map's flair, and understanding these characters. In this moment, we see Dr. Modi emerge from her submarine like a Scooby-Doo villain, only to get absolutely crushed. She dies just like that. No fanfare, no bombastic score, not even by the hands of Maya Aguinaldo. The crew has been fighting this whole time to get to this point, and then, snap! Just like that, it's ripped away from us. The warheads are gone. Maya never gets to enact her revenge, and effectively, the crew's mission is over. She was taken by her own creation, a more fitting conclusion to her arc than any the crew could have provided. There's no reason to stay, yet we are forced to confront Terminus's biggest sin, Patient 13, head on, or should I say tentacles on. Patient 13 wasn't always this way, and if you dig through the intel or read the papers in the boat, or check out the story video I made on this topic, linked on screen and in the description, you'll discover this boss has a tragic backstory. Like Nathan Aguinaldo, Patient 13 is another person who suffered a horrific fate, and this fight, similar to Nathan's, can also be seen as a mercy killing. The boss fight in any map is meant to serve as the narrative culmination, the final climax before the heroes, more commonly than not, achieve a victory, and Terminus pulls no punches. The boss fight arena can be seen throughout the entire journey of this map. I love trying to predict where the final boss fight will take place in modern day maps. Sometimes it's very easy to guess, and other times it's impossible. But I think Terminus does a good job of striking a balance. The arena fits naturally within the landscape, and since this is the first map alongside Liberty Falls, depending on which one you play first, expectations aren't set yet, making this event quite special for new players. This arena is shaped like an O, with the boss boss being able to appear on various sides and in the center. I want to dive into the boss design both visually and mechanically, but let's start with its visual impact. Patient 13, to put it simply, is absolutely terrifying. It's ugly, slimy, and gigantic. The idea that this abomination was once a human being is almost absurd, almost unbelievable. It has beady eyes, rows of sharp teeth, and more tentacles than I can count. This monstrosity is Terminus's biggest set piece, and is colossal on scale, something much needed compared to the boss fights we saw in the majority of the Cold War maps. Both physically and graphically, this is immense and intense. It also stands apart from the usual Dark Ether threats, contributing to the map's unique look and identity. This is a boss that can only be found here on the island, the only threat of its kind. The monster we encountered in the boats is now bigger, badder, and stronger than ever, thanks to being emboldened and absorbing Peck's warheads. And this time, there are no boats to escape it. This boss is an absolute unit, with a health pool that mirrors its size. It's an exercise in precision, coordination, and endurance. I love when a zombie map encourages the expression of different skill sets, and this boss is no exception. The algebra puzzle, the lockdowns, the Nathan fight, and the ability to stay calm during the bomb defusal are some of the notable and varied challenges this map throws at you. This boss has an array of attacks that require constant movement. Tentacles slam across the edges of the arena, and poisonous gas clouds force you to never stand still. The tentacle attack can wreck your health pool, and paired with the onslaught of regular zombies and elites, any wrong move can send you straight back to the lobby. This fight, especially with 4 players, requires good coordination. It's crucial that everyone is in tune with one another to prevent getting pinched by the elites and special zombies. You need to juggle all of these attacks while also dealing damage, a feat that's not always easy. This boss encourages teamwork, and narratively, this is the moment our crew finally becomes a complete unit. This boss follows the Resident Evil critical spot approach and requires sustained fire to shift phases. As the phases change, the critical spots move around, and the boss's elemental attacks evolve. This boss, much like the rest of Terminus Island, adapts to your actions, actively trying to slow your progression and defeat you. These phases get progressively harder, with the third phase being the most difficult. In this phase, 70% of the arena is cut off, and you now have to juggle everything you were managing before, but in a significantly smaller area. This phase spawns the most elite enemies and even features a team wiping attack. The attack is telegraphed by a glowing blue charge, giving you ample opportunity to take cover. The only way to survive this attack is to hide, much like the Der Eisendrache boss fight during the Keeper wipe attack. However, in Terminus, getting to cover is easy, but staying in cover is much more difficult. The sheer volume of zombies and the time it takes to kill them can overwhelm you in these tight spaces if you are not careful. The tension is once again at an all-time high, and this final phase really sells the idea of how powerful this creature is and how close you are to overcoming it. Patient 13 is on its last legs, and this is the crew's first real triumph in Black Ops 6. Killing Patient 13 only helps their goal of escaping, but in the grand scheme of things, the whole crew's efforts end up being for little gain. They lose, they fail. They weren't able to save Nathan Aguinaldo, especially hitting hard for Maya. They weren't able to recover Peck's trusty warheads, much to his dismay, and they weren't even able to stop the outbreak on Terminus Island. We kill Patient 13, and we are no closer to getting our grips on Richtofen, as the SAM AI sends us on a tangent fetch quest for her own agenda. After Patient 13's death, we are treated to the final cutscene. The Terminus crew is gathered in the room where Peck and Strauss had been, and for the first time, they all seem like a team. They still have their differences and a long way to go, but the events on the island have ultimately brought them together as a cohesive unit. This is character progression at its finest. Our characters are fundamentally challenged by this point. They're not static, much like the map itself. They are dynamic, evolving individuals that is largely absent from the tomb. After their time on Terminus, they are no longer the same as they once were. In this final cutscene, Sam talks to the crew about the next steps in their journey to get revenge on Richthofen. It hints at the central artifact, the French Syndicate, and provides a glimpse into the SAM AI's true nature. We see her lie to Weaver about where Richthofen is, claiming she has no idea, when in reality she knows exactly where he is. Why would she lie? Why would she help the crew escape the island? Why is Richthofen working for the French Syndicate? And why is the central artifact back? Strauss is hesitant to believe in the chaos of it all, which is confusing considering he researched Kraft's work. Nevertheless, come Citadel Daymore, they are all working together for a common goal. These questions are essential. They not only draw us in, but they set up expectations for what's to come in the story and upcoming maps. They are promises the developers make you, and questions they intend to answer throughout the life cycle of Black Ops 6. While Terminus answers several key questions, it also raises new ones, keeping us hooked and eager for more. The map is a narrative powerhouse, offering a story that feels cohesive and engaging. It is a story which completes itself in isolation, giving you a satisfying beginning, middle, and end. The map can stand alone, which is what makes it so powerful, when the same cannot be said for the other maps. Citadel Daymore, for example, is all about the backstory of Kraft and Richthofen. That is not a standalone story. The same with the Tomb, it's laying foundations for the next map, really. This is why the map is so good. It makes promises both in terms of narrative and gameplay. But unfortunately, I don't think any of the maps that have followed since have quite measured up the expectations Terminus set. The new map, Shattered Veil, definitely holds promise, but so far no other map in Black Ops 6 has swung for the fences quite like Terminus did. As a side note, I'm recording this before Shattered Veil has released. There is the chance by the time this video gets released it may be after it has come out, so just bear that in mind. It might change the perspective on some things, and hopefully that map sets us in the course for the right direction. And if you're watching this after it has released, let me know in the comments if you think it has. Now that we've gone through the entire Easter egg of Terminus and touched on some of the map's narrative elements, it's worth talking about its identity. Identity is a broad concept, but here I want to focus on the map's visuals and themes. In terms of aesthetics, Terminus shares a lot with Zetsubo no Shima, and somewhat with Alcatraz Island. Both maps have gameplay elements like incremental, generator progression, a mid-game boss fight, and even a similar location, not to mention the shared design philosophies of enemies like the Thrashers and Amalgams. Terminus is a return to horror for zombies, and that's something I find myself longing for in the current mode. It may be easy to overlook at first, but the map is so deeply rooted in its own eerie atmosphere that once you understand all of its moving parts, it just feels like zombies. And in that sense, it feels like a return to the essence of what made the mode so captivating in the first place, back in World at War. It has a real sense of mystery, which is initially where the main horror of zombies was created. The location is a site that has been cursed by the outbreak here, almost like it finally got what it deserved. And I often get those feelings from classic maps as well, such as Verrucht, Der Riese, and Shino Numa. These outbreaks are almost like a type of karma, an evil poetry that thrives in the heart of humanity's worst moments. This is thematically so important to Terminus, and why it feels like a merger of new and old school zombies. No one should escape alive, and yet they do. Terminus is an absolute joy to play. It rewards players who pay attention to the intel, engage with its mechanics, and fully explore the map. It offers exciting moment-to-moment gameplay, and also has a few tricks up its sleeve during the main Easter egg quest. Terminus is the perfect environment for a zombies experience, boasting many thematic elements that really made past maps special, while also featuring one of the largest bosses to date, as well as one of the largest maps we've ever seen in any Treyarch zombies game. It serves a stellar introduction to the Black Ops 6 storyline, and sets the tone for the next narrative chapter, and the future of round-based zombies. It being a launch map, it's important for this to strike the balance right, and it achieved all of its goals, making it even harder for the DLC maps to live up to the precedent set. It handles a variety of challenges and player expectations with ease, and it might just deserve a spot alongside of the most legendary zombies maps in history. But what do you think? What do you love about Terminus? What do you think it could have done better? Roster, and what do you hope to see in future Zombies maps? Do you think this map shines above the rest? Because I personally do. It's an outlier among the maps in Black Ops 6, and honestly I think this is the caliber every map should be striving for in this game. So it's a shame that thus far the DLC maps have not lived up to the hype. It really shows that this map has had so much more development time than the rest. I feel there's been definitely some rocky development with Black Ops 6, especially considering we've not been getting intro cutscenes. Something is up, and I'm glad that Terminus was not affected by this, but it shows what Treyarch are able to do when they are not under constraints that we are not privy to, whether it's budget reasons or other issues, we do not know. Regardless, when the chains are off, Terminus is what Treyarch are able to accomplish, and it holds a special place in my heart. This is a map I think people will remember. I'm not sure if the same can be said about the other Black Ops 6 maps so far. All could change with Shattered Vale and Ajana's Towers though. Time will only tell what Treyarch are able to cook up. But for now, that has been my overview of Terminus Island. I don't typically do review videos for maps. In fact, I think this is the first true one I have properly done, so let me know in the comments if this is something you want to see in the future. I do prefer doing more positive reviews, which is why I chose Terminus, because it's my favourite map so far in Black Ops 6, so I have a lot to say. But do you want to see some of my more negative opinions about some of the maps in the future? I can always do that as well, although I don't think I would get as much enjoyment out of it. But for now, plenty more videos to come, lots of storyline videos coming up with the release of Shattered Vale. Maybe by the time you're watching this, many of them have already released. Anyways, drop a like and let me know in the comments if you want to see more of this content. If this video performs well, I will definitely get cracking with them, and I can start doing these alongside the regular story content too. Anyways, thank you for watching the video. Make sure to subscribe if you're not here for the latest and greatest Call of Duty news information. So anyways, thank you for watching, and bye.